like I owe you an apology.
Yeah? For what?
When we talked about this last week, I promised you that Tom Cruise is going to be mowing through hot ladies. And you were quite dismayed to find out that he did not. I don't know what number you were imagining in your head, but whatever the number was, he didn't sleep with that many women, and you seem pretty upset about it. So
Yeah, well, you guaranteed me like dozens of women.
I did not guarantee it at all.
There was a total of 3 women that Tom Cruise has sex with in this movie. I would not consider 3 a bunch.
No.
That's okay.
No. So I'm sorry, is how we're going to start this one off. I apologize. Noel, I know you were looking for a lot more Tom Cruise banging than what you got.
It was just sort of you setting my expectations high, and my expectations for this movie were pretty high. Tom Cruise, Cocktail. I imagined that this was sort of a 80s classic. Like this was something that people looked to and were like, this is an amazing movie.
I was worried actually that I'm like, maybe this isn't, bad enough to be on our podcast. But then after doing a little bit of research, looking into it a little, did you know that this won the Golden Raspberry Award for Worst Picture?
No.
Are you familiar with the Golden Raspberries?
Yeah.
So the Razzies, as they're called. Yeah,
Yes.
1988 Worst Picture, Cocktail. Here's a little fun trivia fact.
Wow.
We watched Can't Stop the Music a couple weeks ago. Can't Stop the Music is the first ever Golden Raspberry Award winner for Worst Picture. The very first year.
Really?
That took it home over some stiff competition. A lot of bad movies that year.
Holy cow. We might have to, I'm sure we're going to be watching a lot of movies that have received the Golden Raspberry over.
Yes.
Yeah.
But it allayed all my fears because as soon as I saw that, I was like, oh no, this is bad. Yeah. Well, and then we watched it and I was like, oh yes, this is not, it's not great.
You mean it wasn't your favorite movie ever?
It's no. Welcome to Bad Movies and Beer. I'm Cooper.
I'm Nolan.
And if you haven't picked up already, we are discussing Cocktail today, the 1988, I don't want to use the word classic.
Tom Cruise classic. Yeah.
Tom Cruise bartending movie, essentially. And for me, like this movie, it starts out real hot and it just flames out.
I actually gave it 2 rankings, which we'll talk about at the end.
Okay.
At the end of the podcast, we always give our movies a ranking.
Well, 2 rankings.
Yes.
1 to 10 for how bad it is and 1 to 10 for how enjoyable it is. And what are we hoping to achieve?
I know it's coming.
Say it.
The crit 20.
That's right. 10 to 10 on both scales. So far, it hasn't happened, but, one of these days it's got to. We're going to find something
that's got to pop up there. We've gotten close on a few. There's been some really enjoyable, really bad movies we've watched together.
Yeah, we have. Actually, that's true. We came close on a couple. I was at 18 for Can't Stop the Music. 9 and 9, man. That's a good one. Enjoyable.
Yeah.
So we're going to talk about Cocktail, and we are going to drink some delicious beer. Today, we are drinking Half Remembered Dream from the Small Pony Barrel Works in Ottawa, Ontario, Canada. Have you ever had anything from Small Pony before?
So this is my second beer. We shared one before. This will be the first one that I've ever had on my own. And I'm really, really looking forward to it. This is a blend of golden sour beers, and they're all been aged in oak barrels.
Yeah, so they only do sours, and it's all barrel aged. Everything they do is barrel aged with something. They put a lot of fruit in there, a lot of times fruit forward. This one contains rose hips and hibiscus. So I've had this before. I love it. It basically just tastes like an alcoholic version of Swedish berries. Oh my God. So I've been looking forward to this the whole time.
This has been sitting in your fridge and you've been dying to get into this, haven't you?
Well, I had some other bottles earlier that are no longer in my fridge, but yes, this is one of my favorites they make. So.
This is really cool. It's a big 750 ml bottle.
Yes, sir. They do smaller versions also. They sell smaller bottles of a lot of their favorites.
I love that it has a date on it. They've dated it. It's aged. It's bottle conditioned. So that's really, really cool. They have a poem on the back to sort of describe
how fitting, since this movie has a couple of scenes where guys are firing off poems. I'm like, it ties in so nicely.
It is perfect. Both the poem and the sort of title about the dream, because as we find out,
cocktails and dreams, man.
Yeah,
cocktails and dreams.
It's beautiful. Let's get into it.
Yes, please.
Cooper just failed.
I kind of wow. Which one of us failed? I kind of biffed it on the cap opening, but you poured beer all over the fucking thing.
Pouring out of both of us.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah.
And we're back. We just said
right
into chaos for a minute there.
Right as I was making fun of Cooper for having trouble using a bottle opener, my beer started to explode out of the top of the bottle, and
which you deserved.
Yeah, started pouring all over me.
But then I started taunting you about spilling, and then my beer also started overflowing. So we all got what we deserved on that one. But we're all cleaned up now, toweled off, and ready to talk about Cocktail.
Yeah, that's pretty perfect, actually.
Oh, man. Oh. Yeah. So We open with some kind of stock 80s rock music. I don't know what the song was. I'm sure it's an actual song. Actually, this soundtrack for this movie, huge seller, giant hit.
The first line in my notes is sweet soundtrack. Like immediately I recognized that this was going to be fun.
So I didn't recognize the opening song. It must be something. We see Tom Cruise in, well, we weren't sure if it was a cop car. He's there with some army guys.
Yeah, I think it was a military vehicle. We thought it was a police car at first, but it turns out it's a military vehicle. He seems like was in the military.
Yeah, he says I think he says he's back from the war, but I'm like, which war? When is this movie set? This is the 80s. Was there a war in the 80s? I think he just did military service. I don't think he was at war.
There might have been something in the Persian Gulf at the time. Like maybe they were insinuating something was happening there, would be my guess. But
I don't know.
I don't know. We were way too young at that time to have a recollection.
Anyway, they pull over this Greyhound bus, and Tom Cruise gets on the bus, is headed for New York, and he is going to make $1 million. In fact, he's reading a book, and the title of the book is How to Make Your Idea into $1 Million. So
he starts talking to a little kid and tells that kid that one day that they're going to own that city.
Yeah, as they pull in, like him and the kid are?
Yeah, that was weird. Like, I guess they're trying to show that he was like a friendly guy and get along with children, but it was a little weird.
There's no fucking way that lady lets some guy on a bus hold her child if this is happening today.
Oh, God,
no fucking way.
1988 was a really different world than the one we have right now.
Yeah, man. So when he gets to New York, we meet his Uncle Pat. His Uncle Pat owns a bar. They catch up a little bit. His uncle asks him, what are you going to do now? And Tom Cruise's answer, make $1 million. That's just his whole fucking... This is whole character motivation. They've really hammered it into us.
Yeah, he's going to get rich. He did his time, and now it's time for him to get his.
So his Uncle Pat tells him, here's the deal. What you need to do is you need to outthink, outwork, outmaneuver, and make no friends.
Yeah.
And that's going to be important for later.
Dirty, unfun money is sort of how he described it. He definitely said earning money is not good. And then he sort of is a dick to the people at his bar.
Well, but here's the thing. That bar, kind of a shithole.
Oh, yeah.
So how's Uncle Pat have all this knowledge about, how to make all this money? His bar is like, it's got to be in kind of a sketchy neighborhood.
He knows how to run a dive. That's what he knows.
Yeah.
And he knows that if you're a dick to people and you don't give free drinks, you're going to survive with a dive.
That's true. But is surviving the same as making? Like, does Uncle Pat have $1 million?
No.
So then why would you listen to him?
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I think he does show that he has some money saved up later.
Yes. Yeah.
So maybe he is doing okay. But
all right.
Is he having fun? No.
No, and neither are his customers, as you pointed out. So the next day, Tom Cruise is out interviewing. He's on Wall Street, tries to get a job there, maybe something in advertising, but everywhere he goes, he got no luck because he has no degree, no credentials. And then, this was so confusing to me, he checks out a help wanted sign in a bar. It turns out to be a TGI Fridays.
Yeah.
But the main thing is, this appears to be closed at like 5 p.m. Like, he walks in, they're like, bar's closed. And I'm like, there's no fucking way he was interviewing at like 9 p.m. at night. Like, it's still daylight. Why is this fucking bar closed in New York?
Yeah, it was weird. I had the interpretation of that scene that he was doing those interviews early morning and that he was showing up at the bar like as it was being cleaned and prepped for the new day.
I can't believe that that's true, and here's why. We see at least 6 people interviewing him, okay?
Yeah.
Presumably at different companies, not all in the same building. Let's say your earliest interview is fucking 9 a.m. Walk right in the door, do one first thing in the morning. He's got to do that one, travel somewhere else, do that one, travel somewhere else. I don't think that place would be open by like noon. They'd be open for lunch. It's fucking TGI Fridays. They're selling lunch. He doesn't knock out 6 interviews in less than 2 hours. No fucking way.
But it was weird. It seemed like, I think it was just called Fridays in the movie, but there's definitely implying TGI Fridays.
Oh, it clearly is.
And I think it's just a bar at this time. Like, I don't think it is extended to like restaurant, other stuff. I'm not sure. Also, those interviews last about 30 seconds each because he doesn't have a college degree. So technically, he could have got through those in like 45 minutes.
Man.
That's all he needed.
We're making a leap here.
All right, so he goes to the TGI Fridays.
This is where we meet the best character in this movie. Douglas Coughlin, who gives him the first of many Coughlin's laws.
Is he Australian?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
It's Brian Brown as the actor, star of FX and many other high-quality things that I can't think of right now. But yeah, man, he tells him we're on the Upper East Side. This is the saloon capital of the world. It's the big time. And he asks Tom Cruise, are you ready for the big time? He is not.
No.
We see him on his first bartending shift. Customers are shouting at him. Waitresses are shouting at him. Luckily, Coughlin sees his talent, which basically his talent in this movie is just being handsome.
He's handsome, and he didn't give up. He didn't quit. There was definitely some perseverance in that first night. It was actually a pretty good scene. Like, I enjoyed that moment where he was floundering, and they had all those close-ups. All the waitresses are yelling at him.
Well, that was my favorite part of the scene was one of the waitresses is asking him for something that sounds really exotic, and he has to look it up in a bar manual, and it turns out it's a rum and coke, and he's just like, "You bitch! Why didn't you tell me it was a rum and coke?" And she just kind of shrugs like that.
Yeah.
That's enjoyable.
They were
man.
putting him to the gears for sure. They were definitely
Big
like giving
time.
to him. It was funny.
He survives though, and Coughlin sees his talent. Cruz isn't really sure.
The waitresses hate me.
Well, you wait till you've given them crabs. Then you'll really know hatred.
What on earth?
Yeah, that one definitely set me on tilt. I was like, wow, he is saying that you're going to sleep with them all and give them an STI.
That was
beautiful.
a spit take for
Yeah.
sure.
Oh, yeah.
Oh man, Cruz is going to stick it out for now anyway. He's learning all over the place. He's in college, as we see, and he's behind the bar. And he kind of starts loosening up, having fun, and the waitresses and customers love it. And so do I. The facial expressions when he's behind the bar doing this stuff, he's fucking cranked up to 11. It's great shit.
Really entertaining. Like, this part of the movie seems really promising. This is what I expected about this movie. I just thought it was going to be about a super fun bartender.
Yeah, well, two super fun bartenders.
Yeah.
And we get like the glimpses of that, Coughlin sees it right away. He wants to kind of take this show on the road, but Cruz is like, no, this is a part-time job for me, City College. Coughlin scoffs. And, sure enough, Tom Cruise starts dozing off in his classes. He's had too many late nights. We got a clear conflict here. He's a star at the bar, but he is just a nobody in class.
Yeah, his professors start ragging on him really hard. This super asshole professor gives him an F on his paper, the one in which he says he's going to take his bar all across America and make it super popular, right?
Yeah, the quintessential New York bar. He wants to put it in strip malls all over this country. Professor scoffs. Tom Cruise mouths off to him, and he gets failed. And what he says, or what he realizes, is that his professor is out of touch. He's been in this classroom for too long. He doesn't understand the streets.
Yeah, it's true. And it was interesting because they basically, he gives the idea of TGI Fridays. And I don't know the history of this or when it happened. Had it already started to expand across the U.S. when this movie was made?
I don't know nearly enough about
Is this
the
just
history
an
of TGI
advertisement
Fridays.
for TGI Fridays? Is that
I
what
feel like
this
it's
movie
been
is?
around longer than since like 1988. I don't know.
But that's what I mean. Like, is this a big ad for TGI Fridays? Is that a big product placement in here? Or did they pay
I
a
don't
bunch
know.
of money
That's a
for this?
great question.
I wonder if they funded this.
Maybe they did, man.
Yeah.
It's Coughlin tells him, speaking of the streets, that where that bar is located, there's more wealth within 1 square mile of that bar than anywhere else in the world. And if he can figure out how to get it, he's going to be set. And the way Coughlin tells him to get it is to keep an eye open for dreamers, suckers, and so on.
Does he say and so on?
No, he does. I forget what else it was. Okay. But he mentions, opening his own place, and he wants to call it Cocktails and Dreams, and that's
Yeah.
why we're drinking the Half Remembered Dream here today.
Which is beautiful.
Yeah, Cruz thinks it's a good name for a place, but they just need the cash. So, let's make a deal. They try and decide how they're going to go in as partners. They settle on 60-40.
Yeah, they debate this for a while. Clearly, Coughlin's being an asshole to him, but they figure it out.
I mean, Coughlin's got the experience, but realistically, Tom Cruise's handsomeness is like the lure. That's the bait.
Yes.
And we see that almost immediately because they're performing behind the bar at TGI Fridays. You've got choreography. Apparently, this is called flair bartending.
Huh.
Have you ever seen this in real life?
There's competitions and stuff, right?
There are.
Yeah.
I struggled with this part of the movie because if you're there like at the bar trying to get your drink, do you want to spend 15 minutes watching some dude fucking flip bottles? Actually, maybe you do. It sounds pretty cool.
No, absolutely. I would be all about it. Like, I want the entertainment with the booze because that's what the fun part is, right?
You know who does not agree with you? Roger Ebert.
Oh.
Roger Ebert, and we reviewed this movie, shit all over the idea that the bar patrons wouldn't just want to get their boozing out of there as fast as humanly possible, which I think tells you a thing or two about how Roger Ebert used to drink. Yeah. Just fucking pound it to get out.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they're fucking performing though. They're doing great. And coincidentally enough, the owner of the hottest saloon in town is there at the TGI Fridays for some reason. Do you think he's there to scout them?
Maybe he heard about this like amazing flair bartenders.
I gotta get down to TGI Fridays and see these fucking guys.
There's no way you own the like most impressive bar in New York City and you're going to TGI Fridays.
That's what I was thinking. I was thinking the
there's no
exact same thing. And nothing against TGI Fridays, a fine establishment.
absolutely.
But yeah, if you own some fucking giant, amazing bar, I don't think like, I'm gonna grab a beer. Let me head down to TGI Fridays.
The bar was weird. The bar that they own. Yeah,
yeah.
we're going to get to that, but yeah.
So he wants them. He
Yeah.
just wants
Oh, yeah.
them. He wants them for his bar, and he tells them in 10 days you'll be famous. And Coughlin with the just it's so appropriate. I'm already famous. Just give me the money.
Yeah. This is entertaining. Like, they are doing exactly what I'd hoped they'd be doing in this movie. It's really fun. They have all these tension on them. They're doing all these bar tricks.
Well,
and I
the
was like,
attention's on Cruz.
well, yes.
They're doing this, and there's like just some random women just eye-fucking the shit out of him.
They definitely see him as a snack.
Big time. They're going to need the janitor to come up with a mop to mop up underneath the stool this lady's sitting on because, well, we'll cut that part out, maybe. But that's it. Like Cruz is the eye candy. Cruz is what it's all about. And when they start working at this bar called the Cell Block, we see this almost immediately because it's where we meet Gina Gershon.
Yeah, what a strange bar. Definitely kind of one of those weird 80s industrial futuristic kind of bar atmospheres. You have all these people who definitely are coming from the upper echelons of New York society. There's poetry, there's strange outfits.
The first yuppie poet fires off something about capitalism, and that really Coughlin's quote, this poet, Cruz wanted to make $1 million. This was just the 80s excess, like it's all about the money.
Yeah.
All about the money.
And I guess the movie does do a good job sort of showing that, and that's where his inspiration's coming to.
Yeah, but he fires off this poem, the yuppie poet does, but then Tom Cruise out poetries him, and he does not do it on poetic value. He just lists off drinks, but because he's like handsome Tom Cruise, everyone's fucking cheering and stuff. And Gina Gershon is there. She's a photographer playing a photographer. She's all in on it. And as soon as he's done his poem listing off all these drinks, one of which is called The Orgasm, she sashes up to the bar and just tells him,
I'd like to try the orgasm, please.
which that's a big, like one of those big swallow moments. You take a big gulp, just like it's intimidating, man.
It was pretty funny. She just throws it all on the table right there. And
Right away.
good for her. This is where maybe you're thinking pretty confident about your guarantee that he's going to be bagging tons of women. This is number one. He immediately takes her back, and they have a little pillow fight and a bit more than that.
That's true. But before that happens, though, this is where we start to see the cracks in the Tom Cruise Coughlin relationship, because she wants to take a picture of Cruise. Coughlin goes jump in the photo. This is my protege. Tell him everything I know. And she's like, that's great. Get out of the photo. So this is where, again, like Cruise is the bait. Cruise is the lure. Coughlin's getting pushed a little bit to the side. There's some tension there. And then, yes, they hook up. She immediately declares herself his girlfriend. And she has a plan for how they can make all that money to open that bar.
They're going to go to Jamaica.
Yeah, apparently you can make a shit ton of money bartending in Jamaica. Coughlin's suspicious of all this, and well, he's suspicious of her really. And he tells Tom Cruise that she'll be in bed with someone else in 1 week, within a week.
And they make a bet.
Yeah.
A $50 bet to say that. And obviously Cruz is like, nah, this
Yeah.
is fine. I got her.
Has anyone ever lost a bet faster than Tom Cruise in this movie? The next time we see them, she walks up to the bar. Cruise gives her a weird fucking smile. It's like pursed lips and like no teeth. It's so strange. And then she just starts making out with Coughlin. Turns out that he's the guy that's going to sleep with her inside of a week.
Yeah, he does. Like, he just goes and hooks up with her. I don't know what he says to her to convince her, but Coughlin definitely uses some of his weird old Australian charm.
Yeah, we get the impression that he like sort of told her that Cruz was like spreading tales of their love life all over town, and she's offended by this. So to get back at him, she fucks fucking Coughlin.
Yeah, it's brutal. Like, his friendship and mentorship is over. This is it. Like, over
Well,
50
now,
bucks,
hang on.
they're like, I'm out of here.
It's only over because Tom Cruise gets all butthurt and runs off. Like Coughlin was like, "I'm trying to teach you a lesson," and Cruz
Yeah.
is like, "Fuck you, man!" Like, she's so upset.
I mean, part of the mentorship is f***ing your girlfriend. That's interesting.
He
but
showed Cruz like this lady.
Yeah.
This is not a forever kind of thing.
That's fair.
Can I just pause here for 1 second to say, begging Gina Gershon and winning $50, like that's a good week. That's a good week by any stretch of the imagination.
He lost his mentor though, and that starts to affect him. I think he starts taking some of this personally at this point.
Cruz has had enough of this scene, so he punches Coughlin in the face.
Yes.
And then he quits the bar. The act is over, and now we hear the sweet sounds of the Beach Boys. Kokomo.
Oh, it was so good. Yeah, I love this part. We transition to him in the Caribbean, and this is what I thought the movie was going to be. Just Tom Cruise on a beach, or at a beach bar, wearing just the best Hawaiian t-shirts. I was so
God,
jealous
his
of
shirts
his
are
outfit.
incredible.
Yeah. I was like, I would take every piece of wardrobe. They were like ginormous on him because
Yep.
he's a tiny man, but I was definitely jealous of his wardrobe.
He's got some long sleeves in there too.
Yeah, everything was billowy. I guess it was the 80s.
It's ironic that you got excited at this point because this is actually where the movie takes just a horrific turn.
Oh, yeah. I was very wrong, for sure.
I maintain if the whole movie was just Coughlin and Cruise bartending and like that whole scene and just doing their shit, it'd be so much of a better movie. It'd be like
movie.
Wedding Crashers of the 80s.
Yeah, it would have
Just
been
watching
wonderful,
those
yeah.
two dudes fucking flair bartending, flipping bottles, betting women. That's a much better movie, but no. Now we're in Jamaica. Tom Cruise is on his own. He saves a lady who's had too much champagne. His quote about champagne is, "It's perfume going in and sewage coming out," which I don't. I've never
Really?
drank perfume. I'm assuming it's not very tasty. I think you could like get a better metaphor for that, maybe.
I don't know. That's interesting. I haven't heard. I didn't pick up on that in the movie for sure.
Yeah, but he saves her and he impresses her friend by saving her. Her friend is Elizabeth Shue. They start flirting, and all of a sudden, Coughlin shows up in Jamaica. Cruise has another great quote here. He tells they're kind of going back and forth a little bit, like sort of some barbs. And Cruise tells him,
You look like a guy who dyes his hair and shaves with a Brillo pad. A guy who gets an erection on his birthday if the wind is right.
"What the fuck does that mean?"
I wrote that down too. It was hilarious. I guess he's telling him he's like super easy, or his erections are like.
See, I took it the other way. I took it as like he's impotent, and the only way to get erection is like very specific circumstances.
Oh,
Like only if it's his
okay.
birthday, only if the wind is right. Otherwise,
Maybe you are right. I guess that does make more sense.
I don't know, man. Yours,
Yeah.
I mean, who knows?
Yeah.
They don't really explain it. It's kind of a strange zinger.
Yes.
But you know what the weird part about this is Cruise is not unhappy to see him.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. He's like, "Oh, my mentor's here. Some time's passed. He banged my girlfriend, and we broke up, and I punched him. But hey, nice to see you again."
Time heals all wounds, they say.
Yeah.
And it turns out that Coughlin has found his miracle. Those are his words. He is now married to a super rich lady played by Kelly Lynch from Roadhouse.
So I've never seen Roadhouse.
Oh my God.
Yeah, you were really excited about this when she
That's
showed
a future episode.
Okay.
For sure.
Nice.
Yeah. I was excited about it, man. It's Roadhouse, Kelly Lynch. Cruise kind of explains to Elizabeth Shue what's happening here, what the deal is. Basically, Kelly Lynch, we think, has decided to piss off her rich parents by marrying a bartender. Cruise and Elizabeth Shue, they're hitting it off. We get a little romantic like love montage. They're riding horses on the beach. So romantic.
It is pretty hilarious. This romantic love montage was pretty funny.
You love montages too.
Oh,
so it
yeah. I
must have just
love
been-
montages.
yeah,
So
best
I
of both
was
worlds.
excited about it. Some good music, some slow down
Yep.
video, horseback riding, a weird like beach scene. There's some strange, yeah.
But despite all of this, he's still restless. He's still looking for that $1 million idea.
Yep.
And, they have a romantic day. They have some waterfall sex.
Yeah, I was like, where was all the waterfall sex for my life?
Well, I think you got to be near a waterfall first of all. How many waterfalls have you been near in your entire life?
We live near a whole lot of them, but I guess
Oh my
it's not
God,
an
well,
appropriate
all
place
right.
to make it
I
happen.
never-
Yeah.
That's the wrong type of waterfall. Whatever. This is going on, but unfortunately, time is running out in the relationship because this vacation for her can't last forever. So the clock's ticking. That night at the bar, Cruise and Coughlin get in a dick measuring contest. Coughlin is very critical of Tom Cruise's character, Brian Flanagan, being stuck where he is. And he bets him that he won't bed a rich lady, of which there are, I guess, a ton of rich people at this resort.
Yeah, here you can clearly see Coughlin trying to push him again. He's trying to get him into the same situation that he himself is in. He's like, if you really want to go somewhere, you got to bed a rich woman and then take her money and do what you want with it.
Yeah, he's just basically advocating for like gigoloism. Just become a gigolo.
I guess he already has become one himself, right?
Seems like it, yeah.
And so Tom Cruise can't not take a bet, my friend.
He's got to prove to Coughlin that he can do he's proven himself. The mentor relationship is still, he's like, I got to prove I can do that. I can't so.
It was so annoying.
Well, that's some people respond to negative reinforcement.
Yes.
So Cruise takes him up on it and does just an incredible match trick with the matchbook. I don't know what that was. He like lights one and like somehow sticks it in the matchbook, flips it over to the lady. It doesn't blow out. It just lands flat with the match sticking up lit. All she does is like put her cigarette over it. It's incredible.
Yeah, so that works. And then does he walk over and say the line?
They kind of have a back and forth, and like he's there, and then he's talking to other people, but like they're talking across the bar. But what's the line?
Excuse me, do I have "fuck me" written on my forehead?
He is putting it on so hard that she's sort of like, oh, I must be offering it up pretty easy here.
And yet
she is.
Yeah. Well, she goes to bed with him right in front of Elizabeth Shue. You get that fucking that cliched shot where it's like they're walking off, like Elizabeth Shue's walking up to the bar and like stops and sees them as they walk by. Oh fuck, man. You know what? And I hate him for it. I hate Tom Cruise's character for that. I love Elizabeth Shue. I love her. I hate Brian Flanagan. What a fucking dick.
I was feeling the exact same way. So maybe they did a good job in the movie. I wrote down, what a piece of shit. Like that is literally what I had written down. I was angry at him. So they're pulling my emotional heartstring here. Like I was upset with what he did to Elizabeth Shue.
Hey man, Elizabeth Shue's heartbreak is the world's heartbreak.
Yeah.
Does anyone not like Elizabeth Shue? People love Elizabeth Shue. Everyone wants to see her find love. The next morning, full of self-loathing, Tom Cruise goes to Elizabeth Shue's cabana, but she's gone. She's gone. Good for her. Get the fuck out of there.
She left on a flight.
He doesn't deserve you.
No. And then they try to show him looking regretful. Yeah. It was like some of the worst acting I'd ever seen in my life. I mean, Tom Cruise gets a lot of credit for being a decent actor.
He's a multi-time Oscar nominee.
Like he has a lot of
cocktail.
Holy crap, it is horrible. I can't believe that he couldn't put on a regret face. Like it didn't exist. He couldn't do it.
Oh, man. Yeah. Well, the rich lady is there to kind of break his fall a little bit. She tells him that she's been thinking about him. He tells her, well, the plane ride back home will cure that. What she says, though, is what I got, there ain't no cure for.
He bangs her again.
He's basically just a whore now.
Yeah.
He's become a whore. Yeah. Coughlin wants him to work for him. Coughlin's opening a bar, tries to get the band back together, you know, but Tom Cruise has his own plans. Back in New York, we see what those plans are, or rather what they aren't, because it is not going to plan for Tom Cruise. He is a kept man. He's just there living in her apartment.
Yeah, he's really unhappy. He's making her breakfast.
Get me a carrot juice, she says to him. Yeah.
Doing all her chores. She's doing
and get one for yourself.
Let's get physical exercises in the morning. And he's walking around in a...
She's fucking dressing him.
Yeah, oh yeah.
She's dressing him.
It's pretty funny.
Oh, he is fully capped. We get some wistful piano music as he roams the streets, and he sees Elizabeth Shue working in a diner. What are the chances?
Jerry's, yeah.
Literally, what are the chances? There's how many million people in New York? Chances are pretty low, right?
It would never happen.
Never. Later on, at an art show, we see that Tom Cruise, how unhappy he is. He's getting shit-faced, and he ends up getting in a fight with the sculptor.
Yeah, this is pretty funny. He's tired of being a kept man. He doesn't like the art, and he punches the sculptor through the art, and it crashes all over the ground.
Yeah, now to be fair, a couple things here. I don't want to defend this piece of shit because he just broke Elizabeth Shue's heart, but I'm going to. To be fair, we get the impression that he was promised by the woman that like she'd let him like run a company or give him like some startup money or something. And that fucking sculptor, goddamn, you talk about like just condescending, dismissive. He tells him to heel like a dog and says to her that he isn't party trained yet. Which is like fucking...
Oh, he was asking for it. He deserved it.
Yeah.
I think that part of the plan for the rest of this movie is just let's see if we can destroy some expensive art, because this comes up again later.
Yeah,
I was like,
not afraid to smash some art.
I was like, oh, this is kind of fun. It reminds me of Moonraker a little bit. As they're smashing glass everywhere.
Oh, the Moonraker scene was so much better.
Yeah. Oh my God, 10 times better.
It was comical in how much art they were smashing.
Oh.
So that's the relationship over. And the quote we get is he tried to sell it to her, but he couldn't close the deal. He goes to see Elizabeth Shue. She ends up dumping the specials on him, the specials of that day. He wanted to see them. He got to see them.
It was hilarious, actually. I enjoyed that point. At this point, it's bothering me. I was like, okay, so she's working as a waitress in New York. He's found her. But very shortly, we're going to find something out about her and her family, and I'm really confused why she's at Jerry's.
Yes, that's fair. He waits outside for her. She comes out. He throws out, this is actually a pretty nice line. He's like, spare change for my dry cleaning. That's funny.
Yeah.
That's funny. But at her apartment, he walks her back with her, I guess. She asks him kind of why. Why did this happen? He tells her it's no big deal. Coughlin bet him he couldn't land a rich chick. I can't believe she's upset with that. Like, oh, no big deal. Yeah, well, come on.
He says you got to take a dare. Like, this was so infuriating.
What a fucking asshole.
I'm like, why would you do this to Elizabeth Shue?
He tries to blame her.
And then he does. He says that she was pushing him too hard.
Oh, come on, man. She spooked him.
What a piece of shit.
Yeah. But he says, you know what? It won't happen again. And she's like, oh, yeah? I'm pregnant.
And then
yeah.
she kicks him out.
Well, because he literally says, I'm spooked.
Yeah.
5 seconds after, it's not going to happen again. He gets spooked.
Me.
Yeah, she kicks him out.
This comes
Good.
back later.
Good. Now, and you know what? I love Elizabeth Shue, but this is not the best acting here either.
Oh, God, no. It's really bad. This whole scene is horrible. The fun that this movie was is now just like so sad and dramatic. I'm so upset that this is what it's turned into.
Oh, and it just gets worse. We're so weighed down by melodrama, but it's just getting worse.
He goes back to his uncle, and I start thinking about Bruce Springsteen songs. Like, this is
God, seriously,
Yeah.
man. Yeah. He tells him to walk away, but he cares about her. Cruz cares about her. So he goes to see her again. She's at her parents' house, and it turns out she is fucking super rich. So he can bet a rich chick. He did it.
fuck you, Coughlin.
Yeah. Eat it.
Which, like, at this point, we find out she's mega rich, and
Yeah.
I'm super confused why she's working in this diner.
I had the same thought.
I was like, why they had to show that she was down to earth? She has this disgusting apartment, which we were questioning too.
Well, yeah, that confused me. I'm like, how the fuck is she affording this apartment? It's a giant fucking apartment in like Manhattan.
Now we know why. But so Cruz goes to find her at her like rich parents' house because that's where she's going.
Yeah, fucking butler. It's an apartment. I think it's like a penthouse apartment. The butler lets him in, and the dad big times him on the handshake. Won't even shake his hand. Tells him his daughter isn't wise in the ways of the world. So fucking patronizing.
Oh, he's brutal. But it's
Classic old rich white guy.
Yeah. It's written as exactly as
Oh,
you
my
would expect it
daughter, doesn't understand. What a fucking
to. There's
dick.
no subtlety at all.
No, he cuts Cruz a check for $10,000 to hit the fucking bricks. And Cruz asks him, rightly so, is that all your daughter is worth? And for a second, I'm like, is he driving up the price? Is that what that is?
No, Tom Cruise loves her.
He does. He turns the money down.
Yeah.
He deserves a second chance, but she can't trust him. He tears up the check right in front of her. It's so fucking dramatic.
Yeah, this hits like this sweet 80s guitar transition too.
Oh, yes.
I love this. I was like, oh, well, that brings it back just a little bit. All of this is making me super sad because I thought the movie was about sweet bartending and Tom Cruise slaying like hundreds of chicks.
Again, I'm sorry. I don't know what you want from me. I can't apologize enough for
He
that.
now has had 3 and he's gotten 1 pregnant and it's all gotten really fucking sad.
Cruz ends up sneaking into Coughlin's club.
Coughlin's rich wife has purchased a bar and has him sort of running the bartending show there.
Coughlin's fucking thrilled to see him, calls him his only friend. It seems like he has lots of friend, but Coughlin, this is a good line too, proctologist dream, wall-to-wall assholes. Coughlin's the best. Coughlin is so good in this.
He is, but we find out right now that things are not going Coughlin's way.
Yeah, he is very unhappy because he is broke. He has lost all of his wife's cash in the commodities market, and his wife has no idea. And while he's telling Tom Cruise this, he just fucking annihilates a bottle of brandy.
Yeah, so Cruise loses a bet to him, that one about whether Cruise would make it or not, and he gives him this $500 bottle of brandy, and Coughlin just starts smashing it. He's already hammered, and we see things are not going his way.
Fuck, I've never seen a human being drink a bottle of like hard liquor this fast. He just mows through it. Because of this, Coughlin's no condition to go anywhere. Cruise drives Coughlin's wife home. She invites him up because she wants to talk about Doug. Turns out that she just wants to bone him.
Yeah. Surprise, surprise. The very rich young woman who married Coughlin to piss off her parents isn't happy.
Well, and we've seen her kind of flirting with people in the periphery. There's
she's
some
making out with
allusions to
people
the fact
throughout
that
the whole
she's-
thing. Yeah.
So Cruise turns her down, though. Fucking nice move, finally.
He could have got revenge on Coughlin, and he took the high road.
But he doesn't have hatred in his heart for Coughlin. He loves Coughlin. Everyone loves Coughlin. Coughlin's great. Coughlin should have been in this whole movie.
Everyone except for Coughlin.
God, that middle 45 with no Coughlin is a rough stretch in this movie. It is.
Then this part's going to be really bad for you.
Well, I was gonna say she tries to kind of bully him into sleeping with her, and at one point she fires off the quote,
Am I supposed to live with the same man, day in and day out, forever, and have no one else in my life?
Yes, it's called marriage.
"It's called marriage." Yeah,
Then she calls him scared and still
yeah.
tries
She
to
tries
bully
to
him.
bully
Yeah.
him, man, but he bails out. Good on him. He goes back to the boat check on Doug, and this is where we hit the absolute rock bottom of this movie. Coughlin.
For you?
For everyone. He killed himself. He slashed his throat and wrist with the brandy bottle. This is such a dark turn from the good-natured fun of like the first like 30 minutes. Fuck, man.
This movie is so dark right here. We get into some super sad funeral scenes, and then we get a letter from Coughlin.
Yeah, back at the old apartment, it's a letter from Coughlin. It turns out it's kind of like his suicide note. He fires off one more Coughlin's Law and tells him to ignore the rest because that guy was full of shit. Man, so dour. And then we get an emotional Tom Cruise right here. But he uses that emotion, he channels it into a righteous fury, and he barges into Elizabeth Shue's parents' penthouse. He tells them Doug was too proud to let Cruise help him, but Tom Cruise isn't. He's not too proud. He wants to marry Elizabeth Shue. He's got plans and money, and he's not a loser.
This is where he gets into like a fist fight with 3 people.
Yeah.
They start fighting both the butler, the doorman, and his dad, and they're like rolling around. Her dad, sorry. And
Yeah.
they're smashing all of the art in their
So much art smashing.
This is where I was like, oh, okay, I see the comedy is coming from the art smashing, or that's what makes it dramatic.
Yeah, he literally kicks the fucking bellhop or the doorman in the ass. He kicks him in the butt, and he fucking pushes him through a statue. Another statue bites the dust. And we cut ahead to they're married. They're having celebrating their marriage in his Uncle Pat's bar. And from there, we have a nice little dissolve to now it's a bar that Tom Cruise owns, Flanagan's Bar. It's called Cocktails and Dreams.
Yeah, beautiful neon lights right above it. It's great.
And he's doing his old tricks. Although, again, without Coughlin there, it's kind of like, I was kind of like sad. I'm like, there's no interplay. It's just him flipping shit by himself. I don't know. And,
He's really affected you.
It is.
Yeah.
And he's still telling these awful fucking poems. And it ends with him saying he'll never be spooked again. And then she kind of is like, want to bet, and whispers in his ear. And they are having twins. Drinks are on the house. And Uncle Pat's like, what the fuck are you doing?
Yeah, you're not allowed to
You're
do
in
that, you
business.
piece of shit. You gotta be a dick.
Damn.
Yeah.
That's it, man. We're out.
And it's over.
Ugh.
So weird. Like, I really, really struggled with this movie in terms of whether I enjoyed it or didn't enjoy it. The rating was really difficult because my expectations that it would be really fun the whole time.
It was so fun.
And then after that first half an hour, it did not hold up. It got crazy dramatic, really sad. Your favorite character just started like going down the tank.
Who was your favorite character?
Elizabeth Shue, clearly.
Well, that's fair. Everyone loves her. So yeah, I don't know. For me, we'll rate it on a scale of 1 to 10 for how bad and a scale of 1 to 10 for how enjoyable. Looking for that elusive crit 20. And that is not going to be this movie.
Is not even
no
close
fucking
to a 20.
chance.
No.
For how bad it is for me, I hate the downturn.
Yeah.
We're having fun. We're enjoying it. All of a sudden, everything gets so fucking serious. And I get it's supposed to be a drama. Is it supposed to be like fucking Oscar bait? Like,
Yeah.
if it is, they have fired so far wide of the mark. I don't even believe it. Some of the acting's terrible. The soundtrack is great. I mean, I'll say that for the soundtrack. But I just can't get behind this like soap opera level of melodrama. And again, some of it seems like so unrealistic. As I'm saying this, I feel like my number should be higher. I have this as a 7 for bad.
Okay.
Because we had, with Can't Stop the Music, we said the second half so much better than the first half. In this movie, it's the exact opposite. Great first half, and it just fucking nosedives. The plane crashes into a goddamn mountain.
Yeah.
7 for me, though. Maybe it should be higher. I wrote down 7. I'm sticking with 7.
Okay. So for me, this was a struggle because I gave it 3 rankings.
All right. 3. You said 2.
3.
Okay.
1 for the first half an hour, 1 for the rest of the movie, and then an average ranking based out of those 2. So the first half an hour of the movie for me...
Hold on, everyone. Get your calculators ready.
Yeah.
And maybe some chart
It's
paper.
not a real average. So the first half an hour, I gave it a bad rating of 5 because I didn't think it was
not
very bad.
bad.
It was
Yeah,
good.
it's
Yeah, I was having a good
great.
time. The rest of the movie is a goddamn 8.
Okay.
Maybe a 9. Like, really
Yeah.
bad. So I averaged that out to also be a bad rating of 7.
Okay.
So overall, it is a bad 7.
Enjoyable parts, but I wouldn't stick around for the whole thing. Watch 35 minutes, then turn it off and be like, "Fuck, man, those guys are cool." I hope
What a good movie!
I'm sure
Yeah, they had a
for
great
them.
life,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
So
I mean,
how-
I guess the messaging in the movie is like being a materialistic, chauvinistic, womanizing bartender is not going to lead to great things, and that just makes everyone sad.
Well, yeah, it is definitely. There's a critique in there about the materialist thing because Coughlin, he said it was a miracle when he got this rich chick to marry him, and he ends up fucking depressed
Yeah.
and like, if she fucking divorces him, he's right back where he started. He's still a bartender, he's still whatever. But the fact that he lost all her money / I guess his money, that's what fucking drives him to the grave, which is, God, so fucking materialistic.
It's so dark. Like, and I mean, I kind of agree with some of the sentiment of the writers of that movie, like just in terms of principles. But I wanted to watch this movie for fucking fun.
Yeah.
And we're getting into enjoyability here. The first 30 minutes is a 10.
That's so good.
This movie's really fun. The rest of the movie, it's a fucking 5
Okay.
at best.
So what do you did you average it out again? What do you got?
Yeah, it's a 7.
That's higher than I have been. I have this as a 6.
Yeah, well, that's fair.
I can't get behind the downturn and the emotional weight they try and apply to this. I just really again, I think of what might have been. I was fucking loving I could watch those two Flair bartend and crack jokes and shit and Coughlin just doling out his years of street wisdom.
Yeah.
Fuck, I could watch that all day. And they just drive it into the ground, literally in Coughlin's case. So yeah, man, not great.
Yeah, Cocktail, not a movie that I ever want to watch again.
Throw it in the pile.
Yeah, it's most of them. That one's not going to come out again.
See again. Do you understand? Do you believe it could have been the worst movie in the year it came out?
I don't know the other movies that are there, but absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, because I bet you a lot of people would criticize the first half that we enjoyed. And then a lot of people would also be like, what the hell? That was supposed to be a fun movie. What have you done to this piece of shit?
Yeah, it seems like it's going to be fun. Although, you know what? I think about that now, and I'm looking at the DVD cover, and he has kind of a very serious look on his face. So maybe that poster tells you this is not going to be the fun you think it is.
We should have known.
I'm curious. I should watch the preview now. I'm wondering what the trailer was like.
Yeah, I don't know. It is interesting. I don't know how they sort of marketed it because it definitely did not come off to me as a fun movie. I feel like this is a movie that they showed replayed on television, and they always the previews you would see were always him having fun doing
absolutely
great time stuff.
Well, those are the money parts, right?
Yeah.
The first, I've always thought being a bartender would be a pretty fun, cool job. After watching this, I'm maybe not so much.
I think that's the struggle we had with this, right? Because you almost as two men this is sort of something where we were kind of this would have been a fun thing to have done.
You were so excited for him to sleep with, I guess, dozens of women.
You promised me dozens of women.
I did not say dozens, man. I said it was a lot, but whatever.
I thought it was going to be entertaining to live vicariously through Tom Cruise, and it wasn't.
No.
What about the beer, though? Half Remembered Dream.
I fucking love this beer. This is one of my favorite beers ever. I just love it. It tastes like Swedish berries. It's got a beautiful fucking fruity, sour taste. I can't get enough of it.
It is delicious. There's no complaints from me. I agree that it starts out with that taste of Swedish berries.
Big time. They mentioned that in the poem in the back also.
Yeah, and then you sort of get those other barrel-aged notes, though. As it lingers or as you taste it a little more, you get those really nice...
Which is good because I think without that, it would be too sweet almost.
Yeah, it'd be like hitting a sourpuss.
Yeah, that's exactly liquor, right. You'd be drinking a whole bottle of sourpuss.
But instead, which we've probably done, but instead it sort of ends in a really nice, more sort of sophisticated way. I really enjoy it.
It's great. You know what? All their shit is good. Check it out. I've had several of their varieties and flavors, and they are tremendous. So Small Pony Barrel Works in Ottawa, Ontario, technically Canada, whatever. It's great, great, great. Check them out. If you're ever in the area or see them in a store, snatch up a bottle because you will not regret it.
That's awesome.
Yeah, man. So that'll pretty much put a bow on Cocktail. Thank goodness. Next week, we're going to be watching Maximum Overdrive.
Okay, that sounds exciting. I have no idea what this is.
Written by Stephen King. It's about machines coming to life and attacking humans.
This is going to be great.
It's supposed to be fucking terrible, but in a good way. So
I'm
hopefully,
so excited. Ooh.
right in our wheelhouse.
That sounds perfect. If you want to share some feedback or talk to us about our podcast, where can you be in touch?
Yes, we are at the BMB Podcast on Instagram and Twitter. Please follow us if you haven't already and share, subscribe to our podcast.
And also, if you want to send us any suggestions for beers and or movies, it's thebmbpodcast@gmail.com.
Yeah, we'd love to hear from you. And thank you very much for listening today. I'm Cooper.
And I'm Nolan.
And we'll see you next time on Bad Movies and Beer.
Keep it cocky.
When he pours, he rains.